You have just a few days left to take advantage of this transfer bonus to Air France, and we're going to kick it up a notch. In today's video, we will go over how you can use the Air France KLM Flying Blue program to fly to destinations all over the world, even if you need 6 or more seats in business class. In case we haven't met, hello, my name is Julia, and I am the founder of GeoBreeze Travel. I personally get about $100,000 worth of travel every year for approximately 90% off by using points and miles. And we typically save our clients more than $30,000 in travel in the first 6 months of working with our team. If you're looking for a clear path to luxury travel as well, these videos are for you. There's currently a 20% transfer bonus from Amex over to Flying Blue, which includes both Air France and KLM. And so in today's video, we are going to talk about some different cool things that you can do with this transfer bonus. Let's start with the most obvious thing that you can do, which is you can find some really good flight deals over to Europe. I like to use seats.aero for this, where I'll click Explore, Air France, KLM, Flying Blue, and then show the full year. Let's go ahead and show flights from North America over to Europe, and then click the down arrow to sort by business class lowest. So here you'll see some different saver space deals where you can fly from North America over to Europe for as low as 50,000 points per person one way before the transfer bonus. Taking into account the 20% transfer bonus, really it's only 40,000 points. But this gets even better. Let's say that you need to book a lot of tickets, like you have a family of 6 where you have you, your spouse, and 4 children. Even if you need to find that many seats on one flight over to Europe, Flying Blue is still pretty good at that. Because here we filter down to 6 seats, and we can see things from Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Ottawa. You're going to see a lot more from outside of the United States, so Canada has quite a few of these. But there's also some from Atlanta, and I think I saw JFK as well. If you want to filter down seats.aero to departure airports just in the United States, we can do that too to see what we can find with 6 seats within the United States. And so here we still see some of that saver space. Boston over to France, 7 seats available in January. Atlanta has 9 seats available. Detroit has 9 seats available. Las Vegas has 6 seats available. So these are all really, really good. Let's search for one of these, like Atlanta over to Paris in August 2025. So what we'll do is we'll go to airfrance.us, click Book with Miles, and say that we are departing from Atlanta over to CDG. And I would just leave the departure date blank. I'm going to just search for one adult first, and then I'm going to show you how to do this with multiple people since it says there are 7 seats available. You also want to make sure that you select business class when you're doing this, and then click search flights. Then from Atlanta over to Paris in business class, if we scroll over to August, we do see that there are some dates where it's only 50,000 points to fly in business class one way. That deal is available on August 3rd, 10, or 11. And seats.aero says that on August 11, there should be 9 seats available. So let's go ahead and redo the search tab and say that we wanted to book for 6 people. Then we'll go ahead and click search flights again, scroll back over to August, and we see the total price for all 6 people is 300,000 miles, and that's available either on August 10 or August 11. So we can select either one of those dates, sort by lowest price, and then we'll see that this flight from Atlanta over to Paris on a direct flight operated by Air France is available for 300,000 points for 6 people. And when you're booking for a lot of people, these transfer bonuses can make such a difference, because then instead of 300,000 points, you only need 250,000 points to book all 6 of you. So you're right off the bat saving 50,000 points that way when you are transferring Amex over to Flying Blue in order to book this flight over to Paris. Remember, you can get a 20% bonus when transferring American Express points over to Flying Blue. And that bonus goes through November 10, 2024. And if you are in the market for a new card so that you can earn these types of points, but you're not sure what card to get, check out our free credit card consultation form at geobreezetravel.com/consultations. We will send you a personalized recommendation based on your particular goals, budget, and lifestyle. Or, if you do already know what card you would like to get and you would like to support this show when you apply for your next card, check out our links at geobreezetravel.com/cards. And did you know that you can fly Air France even if you're not actually flying to or from France? Here is a fan favorite route if you are looking to take the whole family on a tropical vacation in business class. The next example that we are going to cover is a Fifth Freedom flight, which means it's operated by Air France, but doesn't actually fly to or from France. And that is the Fifth Freedom flight between Los Angeles and Papeete, which is in Tahiti in French Polynesia. So once again, I'm using seats.aero for this, and we can see there's quite a few dates available, even if we are filtering down to where we need at least 6 seats. So we have availability in September, December, next June. There's quite a bit of availability, and you'll find even more if you don't need all 6 seats. So to find this, we just go to airfrance.us, click Book with Miles from Los Angeles over to Papeete. You actually don't even need to do the seats.aero step if you don't want, since this is only one route that you need to check. You don't need to check from multiple US airports. You won't be able to find this from San Francisco or Denver or Texas or Chicago or anywhere else. You would just need to go to airfrance.us or klm.us directly, click Book with Miles, then search from Los Angeles over to Papeete with a departure date blank for 6 adults in business class. Then go ahead and click Search Flights. And here you're just scanning the top to see what is the lowest price that we can find. In November and December, there's some where it's right at about 500,000 points, 552,000. April, 552,000. June, 552,000. So this saver space is what you're looking for. And keep in mind, there is that 20% transfer bonus. So instead of 552,000, you only need to transfer over 460,000 Amex points over to Air France KLM Flying Blue in order for it to turn into enough points. It gets even better. Let's say that you don't need to book for 6 adults, but instead you just need to book for 2 parents, and all of your kids are between the ages of 2 and 11. That means, 1, you're probably a very tired parent and need a vacation over to Papeete, but also each of your kids will get a 25% discount when you book with points through Air France or KLM Flying Blue. So then we go ahead and click Search Flights again. I'm going to try to find that same flight over in April. Instead of 552,000 points for all 6 of you to fly, now it's only 460,000 points for all 6 tickets where you have 2 adults and 4 kids between the ages of 2 and 11. And with that transfer bonus of 460,000 points, you would only need to transfer over about 384,000 Amex points for all 6 people to fly over to Papeete in Tahiti using this promotion with Air France, which I know a lot of parents write in saying it's very difficult to find any good business class flights. There's not availability for all of us, and even if there were, it's very expensive if there's 6 people. But this is one of those sweet spots that you can take your kids on a very nice beach vacation, especially if you're based in the West Coast, and you can save quite a bit of points between the transfer bonus and also the child discount that's available through the Flying Blue program. If you love free resources that let you maximize your points, check out geobreezetravel.com/quiz. There, you will find a free short quiz that will point you to the best resources depending on whether you are trying to earn more points, redeem your points, or something else. And by taking the free quiz, you'll also get access to the free Points 101 course, which is a fantastic resource for anybody just getting started with points and miles. So, what if you are looking to fly somewhere like Africa, but you need 6 or more business class tickets on the same airplane, and you don't have a lot of points to work with? Well, turns out Flying Blue can help with that too. Let's say that you want to travel to Africa at some point. I think that the Air France KLM Flying Blue program is one of the best ways to find a lot of availability into Africa, especially if you have a large family. So on seats.aero, I'm looking for different routes. where we can fly from North America over to Africa with at least 6 seats. There is a ton of availability right now over into North Africa for only 50,000 points per person one way in business class, and that's the adult price. That's not taking into account the transfer bonus or the child discount of 25%. So you can fly into Algeria, into Morocco, into Tunisia from a variety of different US airports like Boston, Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, Los Angeles, JFK, IAD, and a lot of those are just going to be 50,000 to 55,000 points per person regular price. Or if you don't want to do North Africa, but you instead want to do something a little bit further in for safari, like if you wanted to do Kenya, or let's say you wanted to do Ghana, South Africa, we'll see if there's anything there, Lagos, Cape Town. There's some flight availability from JFK over to Lagos for 95,000 points per person one way into Nigeria. There's Atlanta into Lagos as well. JFK into Nairobi, Kenya for 95,000 points. JFK over to Accra, Ghana for 104.5 thousand points. And all of this is before the transfer bonus. So let's search for a couple of these on Air France's website just to make sure we see everything here. So I'm going to pick flights into Morocco, into Casablanca, where let's do Washington, D.C. over to Casablanca. So I'm searching from IAD over to the airport code CMN. Leave the departure date blank, and once again, I'm still searching for 6 passengers. This is for 2 adults and 4 children in business class. Then I'll go ahead and click search flights. And you can see that the points price sometimes is as low as 275,000 points for all 6 people to fly into Casablanca. Here on February 23rd, we see that point price 275,000 for all 6 people, including the child discount, but not including the transfer bonus. So if we were to take into account the transfer bonus, that means you only need to transfer in about 230,000 points for the entire family of 6 people to fly in. However, this is taking a little bit of time to load, but you would be flying from Washington, D.C., most likely through Paris into Morocco. Another great feature of the Flying Blue program is that you can take complimentary stopovers either in France or in Amsterdam, depending on where it's connecting through on that saver space. You do have to call it in to Air France and you have to ask them, hey, is it possible to do this as a stopover route where we have a few days to spend in Paris before continuing on to Morocco? As long as there is availability in business class with a saver space for each of those legs, then they can ticket that for you over the phone. So then you can build 2 cities into one trip where you can spend a few days in France, then spend a few days in Morocco. Similarly, if you wanted to go into one of those other airports that's further south in Africa, like let's say that you wanted to go to Kenya or Cape Town, let's look at this. From JFK over to Nairobi, it looks like there's only one date that has 95,000 points per person one way. Most of the other dates are 104.5 thousand points. But let's see if we can find this. We are searching from JFK over to NBO on the Air France website. Clear out the date for 6 passengers in business class. And it would be 522,500 miles for all 6 people. The Air France calendar is showing more availability than what was available on seats.aero. So it's not always going to capture everything. But we can say, all right, let's fly out on the 10th. It would be 522,500 miles. So including the transfer bonus from Amex, which saves you 20%, you would just need to transfer over 436,000 points for all 6 family members to fly into Kenya. And you could take a complimentary stopover in Amsterdam with this one as long as there is the availability and you can ticket that over the phone. Are you enjoying these types of tutorial videos? If yes, please let me know. Click that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for even more points and miles tips every week. Our last walkthrough covers how to use the Flying Blue program to get some great business class deals over to Asia, even if you need 6 or more seats on the same flight. And if you are interested in leveling up your points and miles game and maximizing your points too, We have a couple of options for you. The first one is the GeoBreeze Travel Patreon, which you can join starting at just $5 per month through patreon.com/geobreezetravel. Each month, we prepare personalized step-by-step tutorials for the routes that our members request. We also provide open forum group coaching where you can ask any questions that you have about points, miles, and credit cards in general. And we talk through some of the tips and tricks that I don't really mention on social media. And if you are looking to get even more free travel with points and you are a business owner or individual who spends $100,000 per year or more on expenses, check out our one-on-one points portfolio management service. We typically save our clients somewhere between $30,000 and $60,000 in travel in the first 6 to 12 months of working with our team. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, book a free intro chat with us at geobreezetravel.com/intro call to learn more. Okay, let's walk through some great ways to fly to Asia using Flying Blue. We have a lot of award search requests for families trying to get over to Asia, and if you're trying to get over to like Japan or Korea, I know that Air France does not seem like the most intuitive route to go through, but there's actually pretty good award availability if you're flexible on your dates. So on Seats.aero, I'm searching from North America to Asia. There is a lot of availability over to Tel Aviv if you want to go over there as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for Incheon and the 2 Tokyo airports. I'll throw Osaka in there as well, since that is where we tend to get a lot of requests for. Let's also throw in some other East Asian airports just to see how availability looks there as well. And so here we can see this is still set to have at least 6 available seats. But there's flights from Denver over to Haneda, Chicago over to Haneda, Toronto over to Incheon, Washington, D.C. over to Haneda, and all of these have at least 6 seats available, which is fantastic. You'll see a lot of these tend to be in the off season, like around the winter time, but if you want to go ski in Japan, these are great, great deals. So let's look up one of these from Chicago over to Haneda, Tokyo, where we go to airfrance.com, type in ORD as the departure airport, HND as the destination, leave the departure date blank so it shows us the full calendar, and we're still leaving in the 2 adults and 4 children and then business class. Then go ahead and click search flights. And here we see that the prices can go as low as 475,000 points for the entire family to fly one way in business class, and that is including the child discount. So let's say that you guys wanted to go skiing in January. Let's see which dates have the lowest price point. There's actually quite a few in January. So let's pick January 12th. We see that you have one option that goes through Amsterdam and one option that goes through Paris. So again, you could build in that complimentary stopover as long as there's availability with each leg, which you can check with Air France or KLM over the phone. You can stack all of these different benefits where there's enough award availability for 6 people, you get the child discount, you get the complimentary stopover, and you get the 20% bonus with Amex over to Flying Blue, because instead of 475,000, you only need to transfer over 396,000 points for the entire family to fly this in business class one way. If instead of Japan, we wanted to fly somewhere like Korea, that's possible as well. There's only one date here where it's available for 95,000 points. There are 8 seats available though, from Toronto over to Incheon. But most of the time, you're looking at more like 105.5 thousand points. These are going to be more common from the Canadian airports like Vancouver or Toronto over to Korea. But if you're okay with doing a positioning flight over to Canada, you can find a lot of these as well. Outside of that, the points prices tend to get a little bit more expensive when flying over to Asia. I wouldn't necessarily pay $130,000 to do this LAX over to Osaka thing. I would just go into Tokyo and then take the train from there. Everything else looks a little bit too pricey, like Dallas-Fort Worth into Hong Kong is 167,000 points per adult one way in business class. That would still be about 140,000 points even with the transfer bonus, so I think I would skip out on most of these other ones unless you're getting a little bit desperate because you're like, we really need 6 seats, then you might end up paying a little bit more for your tickets this way if you can't find 6 seats through other airline programs that go into Japan, such as Air Canada or United, ANA, American Airlines with JAL. If you're just not seeing a lot of availability into Japan or other parts of Asia and you're like, well, we need 6 seats in business class all on the same plane, this might be a good way to go. Alternatively, if you don't need business class and you just need to get there in economy and you need 6 seats, you can fly for as low as 35,000 points per person one way in economy. And that's before any child discount. So from Los Angeles over to Osaka, it's only 35,000 points before the transfer bonus, or about 30,000 points once you take the transfer bonus into account. So that can be a really affordable way to fly the entire family over to Japan in economy class if you're taking advantage of the child discount and the transfer bonuses as well. I hope you found those tutorials useful. Viewer suggestions are always welcome, so let me know if there are any topics that you would like to see some tutorials on. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, I think you'll enjoy this video next.